we were invited to set up the syllabus of MSBT, which is the Maharashtra State Board for Technical Education.
Hello, welcome to the episode 3 of the Belk IoT podcast. IoT Everything with me, Sai Prakash Belkeri. Alright, there are a lot of new things over this episode 3. First thing being the very structure of this podcast is being changed. There would be 3 sections here on. The first section being the announcement section or updates, news trends in IoT, and everything around IoT. If there are any new product launches, we'll discuss about that, and we'll make sure that you always stay updated with the latest trends in IoT. The second is the Ask Belk IoT section, where we'll take up the questions submitted by you or our website. If you already do not know how to do that, stay tuned. I'll tell you in that section about how you can submit your questions to us. Your questions can be anything in and around IoT. It can be any problems that you're facing with your implementations of IoT or with your projects, or in general anything in and around IoT. And finally, our last section, where we'll have a guest coming in to talk about a specific topic around IoT. Alright, so in this announcement section today, we have a report from Gartner which says the global government IoT endpoint electronics and communication market will reach $14.7 billion in 2020, which is an increase of 6% from 2019. However, I'm sure this growth is not much. Mostly, I guess, because of the pandemic hit that we are facing. But definitely over time it will increase hugely, because governments have started hugely funding the smart city products and also the smart city projects. They are coming with new plans globally and also in India. So there should be a huge rise in this thing. So there are really a ton of opportunities for anyone who wants to start a company around this thing or work for a project with. If you have any kind of idea, you definitely have to consider smart cities. So the next update here is that Google has discontinued its Google Nest Secure Home Security Alarm System without warning. Google has been messing around with such things for quite some time now. For those who do not know, Google Nest Secure falls under this Google Nest devices category, which is usually a smart home device with thermostats and all this stuff. So this Google Nest Secure was launched in 2017, and now they have stopped supporting it. So it clearly shows that it's a failure. That's all in this section. To know more about such updates and stay updated with current trends, you can join our Telegram group, where we constantly keep posting such updates and also a lot of other information that we provide in and around IoT. So you can join that group by logging on to our website at belkiot.in/join us, which is belkiot.in/join-us. Okay, so in this Ask Belkeri section today, we have a question from Raghunandan. He says, I am pursuing my second year in Bachelor's of Technology in Electronics and Telecommunication. I am now really fascinated by IoT and now want to work on it. So where do I start? So Raghunandan, few years down the line, even I was in the same place, and good that you have made this decision. So now that you have decided, let me tell you that you can start anywhere basically, but the best point to start would be to start understanding the whole architecture of IoT firstly, because You'll get to know what are the different layers of IoT, how is it implemented, where do you get data from, how is it the data flowing through all the channels towards the cloud or through your federated systems and all these things. So once you understand the whole broader spectrum, then you can decide on what your expertise is. Since you have mentioned that you are from electronics and telecommunication background, I would suggest you start with your own area, that is electronics. So buy these off-the-shelf devices like Arduinos and Raspberry Pis. Try connecting few sensors to them, get the real-time data, start publishing this data to some cloud. How do you do that? So basically we have a lot of websites where you can connect your IoT devices to them and start publishing the data. You can also control the devices from those websites, and also they have their nice mobile applications these days. So one of such things would be an app called Blink, so you can use that. Once you're good with them, start writing your own custom applications in programming languages like Python. Python is most preferred because it has good extensive libraries. Write your custom codes and then try connecting with them with the services, cloud services from Azure or AWS. That should be enough. Also, if you want to extend and learn more, you can learn few IoT platforms like ThingWorks, which is a product by PTC. Hope that helps you, Raghunandan. So from here on, unlike the Raghunandan's questions today, which was sent to us from our contact us section of the Belk IoT website, you can now send your messages by recording them. We have integrated a new feature on our website. You can log on to belkiot.in/podcast to find an icon. It would be a orange icon of mic. You can click on that mic icon to record your voice, and that will be sent directly to me, and we'll shortlist your question, and then it would be answered here in the next episodes of the podcast. So make sure you log on to belkiot.in/podcast to record your questions and send it directly to me so that it can be featured on the next episodes of the podcast. And that brings us to the third section of this today's podcast. The guest that we have today with us is Pratik Deshmukh, the co-founder and director of Robolab Technologies. Robolab Technologies is a startup that was founded 7 years ago by 4 robotics enthusiasts while they were in their final year of graduation. Fast forward to today, Robolab Technologies is today the best and fastest growing startup in India. It has won many awards, including the Best Startup Award from Central Government of India. Hello Pratik, thanks for coming on to my show. Really thank you for taking out your time over this season of festivals here in India, and I wish you a very, very happy Dasara.
Hi, happy Dasra to you too, and thanks a lot for inviting me. It's really nice to be a part of this show. And I'm really happy that you're doing this and giving back to the society. This is a wonderful way of taking people along with you and taking technology to the masses. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
A lot of good words for me. Thanks a lot for them. So, why don't you tell our audience about yourself and your venture, which is Robolab Technologies? How did it start, and where are you heading towards?
Sure, sure. Hello everyone. My name is Pratik Deshmukh. I'm basically from Maharashtra, and I'm born and brought up in a city called Amravati. I did my 10th standard education in a very small school which was not having more than 400 students in the entire school. The first time we saw tube lights and fan in our class was in 10th standard. Until then, there was nothing
Oh my
in
God.
school. From that, I moved on to a city called Aurangabad, which was a complete shift of the levels in terms of the number of people sitting in one classroom. The tuition classes used to have almost 300, 400 students at one time. So it
Mhm.
was a bit, I was a bit nervous initially to catch that up. and I did my 11th and 12th from there in Aurangabad. Studied really hard for those 2 years and then got wonderful marks, 194 out of 200 in CET, stood
Oh.
20th all over state, and was lucky to get admission in a college called as College of Engineering Pune, or COEP.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, COEP is the third oldest college in Asia, second
Oh.
oldest in India, established way back in 1854. You
Mm-hmm.
must have heard about Dr. M. Vishwesharya. He is the first Bharat Ratna engineer of India, on whose birthday, 15th of September, is celebrated as the Engineers' Day. So he graduated from the same institute. So anytime I tell about my college, I tell people that I have graduated from the same college from where M. Vishwesharya graduated, and I am 130 years junior to him.
Oh, whenever we say take the name of Mokshavanam Vishwesharya, I get goosebumps kind of, because as an engineer, all of us admire him so much that, I don't know, due to his works and stories that we heard, like, the anecdote that we hear of him, that, he was sleeping in a train and he could listen to the sound of the rail, and he could kind of predict that there is some crack in the rail 2 kilometers down the line, and all those things. Really, I get goosebumps whenever I hear his name, and I didn't know that he was a graduate of COEP. Good to know it.
Yes, yes. He's 1883 graduate of COAP,
Oh,
and
okay.
I was lucky to be a part of the same college, in fact. So I had taken admission in electronics and telecommunication, and
Mm-hmm.
while after taking admission in COAP, I realized that there are wonderful opportunities. There were almost 52 student managed clubs. So there was history club, there was a club for robotics, there was a club for mathematics, there was a club for philosophy. So you had any interest in yourself. Usually, when we take admissions in colleges, we don't know what we are interested in. So
Mm-hmm.
engineering is all about getting a degree, but in the process also also exploring what you want to do in your career. So you get a lot of opportunities in exploring, and one of the opportunities I got was to be a part of robot study circle, which is the robotics lab of our college. And I
Mm-hmm.
was a part of it for 4 years of engineering. And by the time I became a graduate, I had a job in my hand, but was very interested in robotics. So I had a couple of people who was of same thought process as me. I had
Mm-hmm.
already worked with them for 4 years of engineering,
Okay.
and after just preliminary discussions during final year, realizing that we won't be able to work in robotics anymore because we had been placed in different companies, we decided why not take it up as a passion. So that passion converted into a company. We decided to start it up. So we approached our college's director, Dr. A.D. Sastra Buddhe sir, who is now
Mm-hmm.
the chairman of All India Council for Technical Education. He was the director of
AICT. Oh.
our college back then,
Mm-hmm.
and he loved the idea. We said to him that we have been lucky that we had a good lab, robotics lab here. We want to give the same platform to everybody across India. So
Great.
he said that this is a good social venture.
Mm-hmm.
So he suggested us to get incubated in COAP. As a final year student, you have no idea what incubation means, because sadly this is never taught to us in college.
Correct. Correct.
So
We are
he,
only trained to get job and jobs and jobs. And
yes,
these times,
sadly things
India
are
is
like that.
changing. In these times, India is changing. But I understand you are of which year graduate? Like
So I
when?
graduated in 13,
Okay.
and as soon as we graduated, we approached our college. In fact, our final year exams were going on when we approached our college
Mm-hmm.
for getting incubated. They told us that they have an institute called as BHAU Institute of Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Leadership. So
Mm-hmm.
in BHAU, in Marathi, BHAU means elder brother. So in
Oh.
life, if you need any help, elder brother is the easiest person to approach. So with
Oh.
that thought process, they had established BHAU Institute. So if you want to do a startup, you go to BHAU Institute, they'll guide you, you get incubated and you start working. So we started working from there. Initially, the institute building was yet to come up. So we worked from the college hostel for a couple of months,
Mm-hmm.
and from there on we rented a 1 BHK flat. We used to live in one room and work in the other two. We continued like that for a couple of years, then moved on to a 2 BHK flat.
Mm-hmm.
Used to live in one room and used to work from the other three. And in this process, our team went on growing. We started getting clients, started interacting with people, and business kept growing. And
Mm-hmm.
now we have a separate 3,000 square feet office. Nobody lives in office anymore.
Oh,
And we have
that's great.
already reached out to more than 48 institutes span India and trained more than 18,000 students till now, and have
Including
had
me.
the opportunity to work, including you. Yes.
Yeah.
And we had the wonderful opportunity to work for people like Indian Navy and Indian military for their R&D projects.
Oh,
Right
okay.
now, our firm Robolab Technologies, we are around 7 years old,
Mhm.
and we have already been working with R&D projects for the Indian military, and regularly train the Indian Navy officers in Military Institute of Technology in Pune. uh, in the
Oh.
last 2 3 years, we got a lot of enquiries and requirements from institutes for working in the field of IoT as well. So along with the robotics lab offerings that we used to have, we have started giving
Mhm.
IoT lab offerings as well, which we believe is
Mhm.
a wonderful field with a lot of potential. But sadly, not many people are aware how to get started in it.
Mhm.
They A lot of times when people start working, and after working a couple of years, then they realize that there is also a field called IoT that has immense potential.
Mhm.
So we want to, give that potential advantage, that we want to bridge that gap as a company at the institutional level by providing them platforms. It just to if I want to tell in a layman's language, we give kitchens to institute and we teach the students how to cook so that they never die hungry. They can cook whatever
That's
dishes that they
that's
want.
that's very well put. I love that statement. Like, that's very well put. I really can look back on this thing. Even you were associated with our college. You as you know had established a very beautiful lab and very resourceful lab in our college, which is MLR Institute of Technology. I was really fortunate that I was able to work with you guys when. Back then it was, I guess, in 2016 or 17, I guess, when you associated with that. And really cherish those days when I was with you guys learning things. We used to like literally spend nights together in the labs, setting up the labs and all. I really cherish those days. I'm really happy that you know three guys or four guys of COEP, they just thought that why don't we still continue our career in this, and now are expanding uh, this opportunity to everybody across the India. And it's really great to know. Thanks a lot for that,
Yes, in fact,
actually.
I still feel like I'm in college. It's been 7 years I graduated. I'm still with the same people with whom I did my mini projects and final year projects, and now
Mhm.
working in the company as well. So that I feel helps. If you work with a friend, that really helps you in understanding the processes. Somebody is good technically, somebody is good with people, somebody is good with managing things. So
Mhm.
it's a good blend of things.
True. That those are the perks that you get with a startup. And I'm sure you back when we had discussions earlier, you also mentioned that you completely bootstrapped this whole startup, and you are one of the successful startups. Also, you received many awards from central government and also Maharashtra government for as one of the best startups in India.
Yes, so far we have won 30 plus awards, some major being Startup of the Year in 2016 in the Future Education category.
Hmm.
Another one in 2018, like in 2019 January, we won the Startup of the Year award, and along with that, we won National Entrepreneurship Award by the Government of India, so
Oh.
which was a good thing. And now, yes, since beginning we have Bootstrap is, for listeners, Bootstrap is a company that has not taken any funds from outside, which is arranging their own capital by taking money from the customers. So we have been lucky that we are regularly getting engaged with customers who are taking our services, and we have been able to generate the funds and operate through that. Our business model is pivoted around the services. So pivot is something around which you offer all your services as a company. So we are pivoted around offering services.
Hmm.
So we give services in education sector. We started off with just robotics. Then people started saying, why don't you do IoT as well? Because it is a natural extension of what basic robotics and automation that you do. So we
Correct.
started doing that as well. And from the services, now we have also pivoted to box offerings, because we believe, why only students should work into IoT? Why
Hmm.
only education institutes should work into IoT? It should be something that should be taken to the masses, because for a country as big as India, we don't have that much reach uh,
Hmm.
in terms of technology. Let IoT, even if we keep IoT aside, other things like some things as basic as good quality mobile phones, these are not available in the market in the rural areas right now. So
Correct.
we need to go to that level, and we need to take technology to that level. So the best way to do is, I think, especially for IoT, is to democratize it, have it available to everybody. For doing that, we have to enable people so that they don't have, an enigma in terms of using of that technology.
Mm-hmm.
They should know that from the college level itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I must tell you that when you were graduating,
Mm-hmm.
at that time there was no proper syllabus set by government of India. Now a good thing that government
Mm-hmm.
of India has done, they have this year they released the new education policy. a
Correct. NEP.
year
That's
prior
really fabulous.
a Yes, and a year prior to that, they did some background work as well. There was good litmus test taken before announcing the NEP. They did some litmus test. So the
Mm-hmm.
litmus test was taken in the form of identifying some emerging technologies
Okay.
in future that would be
Mm-hmm.
needed in the market. So they identified AICT identified 9 emerging technologies like data sciences, robotics, automation,
Mm-hmm.
3D printing, and one of the technologies they identified was Internet of Things.
Oh, great.
So so last year they decided that this should be taught in the college. So then there comes a question: for if you are a student, and if your faculty tells you that you have to learn IoT,
Mm-hmm.
you firstly need to teach the faculty, because he is not aware what IoT is. How
Correct.
will he teach? So for teaching this faculty, there has to be some proper syllabus or training plan.
Mm-hmm.
So AICT first prepared that training plan. They gave a standard 42 clock hours training module. What should be the learning outcomes of IoT as a subject when it is being taught?
Mm-hmm.
Because initially, what used to happen, if a college went to a vendor or to any industry and asked them that teaches IoT, everybody used to give their own syllabus.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay, because it is said if you have a hammer, everything appears to be a nail. So,
Mm-hmm.
in the same manner, everybody used to give their own solutions, and there was no standardization. So now things have been standardized. So this
Okay.
will help that, like when you, for example, learn engineering drawing. So you know
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the engineering drawing how what top view is, side view is, front view
Mm-hmm.
is. So
Correct.
similarly, after learning this as a subject, at least as an elective initially, people will know what
Mm-hmm.
IoT is. They will be able to write a basic code in Python. They'll know what edge devices are. They'll
Correct.
know what nodes are,
Mm-hmm.
and at least an overview and architecture could be explained. So then they can explore.
Great. These are really great steps that are being taken by these educational bodies, especially in India. So now going on, how does the student, get prepared for this? And like if a student wants to get a hands-on experience and want to try out these things, and as you know, students, we will not have much, huge pockets, will not have much money. So how do we access these things, and how do we learn these things with practical hands-on without spending much money or almost no money, free of cost? Any suggestions there?
As a student, you can start off with, a lot of time people don't directly start off with doing IoT. They have to start with the really basic one. Sadly, even in second and third year, people don't know how to read register values. That is the position that we are in as a country. So we have to bring everybody on the same page. First of all, start off with basic things. Try to utilize the most popular things available. For example, Arduino is really popular. That can be a good way to enter in IoT. So you can start off with learning Arduino. Usually people, don't even have the funds to buy an Arduino, so you can start off with a virtual version of it. There is a wonderful website called Tinkercad, tinkercad.com, tinkercad.com, on which you can virtually take an Arduino, interface sensors with it, interface a Bluetooth module with it, interface a motor with it. So you at least should get the gist of how input and output work, how uh, I2C communication works, how UART communication works. So then once you have done simulations on those platforms, simulations in the sense, students usually when we show simulations to them, we show them in the form of boxes, that there is a black box and there is another black box one and black box two, and data is going. But we rarely use the same hardware that we're using in real world in the simulation environment as well. So Tinkercad has the same Arduino that you will see in the real world. You can interface there. Once you have learned that, then you can move on to the actual hardware, actual Bluetooth. Start off with very basic things like SC05. The first thing, initially, when people were not calling IoT as IoT, a lot of people used to think IoT is just home automation, nothing else. A lot of time just Bluetooths and Bluetooths were there. Bluetooth connectivity is there, that people used to say that there is IoT. It's not like that. We have to teach that to them, how you can first interact with the help of a communication module, then how can two modules interact with each other, and how a network is formed and everything. Then we students, they should understand that there are a lot of open source platforms also available, like Thingsboard is something on which you can freely utilize the services and create a GUI for your IoT devices if you're working. Try to use open source modules like ESP32, which is very easily available nowadays. On Amazon also, there are good node devices that you directly, ready to code kind of devices that you can use as a student, which are available at a very less cost. And if you are a student, try to push your institute to have an infrastructure, because they can afford it and you are paying fees for it. So if student pushes the institute, they will then go towards having an environment which ultimately will help them.
They are really great places to start off. Even I started my quest for this IoT there, and Raspberry Pis, Arduinos, and all. And I'm sure all the IoTians who are out there have definitely come across this or have started with these things. But there is, when I get into a real time project, and when I've started doing real world projects, I see there is a slight gap in between these, which is complete project experience, that doing stuff from right from scratch to using multiple technologies, the whole stack of technologies, and getting things done. So how do we bridge this gap, and what are your suggestions here?
So I believe for this, most important thing is project-based learning,
Mhm.
which nowadays people have started to do at institutional level. Not just experiments wherein you take students to a classroom and make them sit for 3 hours and give them a standard set of procedures,
Correct.
ask them to type this thing and they'll see this result.
And note down those
Okay, do it
values
for
in a
couple
record.
of sessions. Yeah, we all have done engineering. A lot of it is 90% of people simply copy the values and they don't end up doing any hands-on and don't understand anything.
Mhm.
Although experiments in colleges are said to be something that will give hands-on, sadly it is, the reality is far more different than that. So a good way to solve it is to give them a task-based approach.
Mhm.
uh, Let them initially empower them with the knowledge that they will need to solve a particular problem, and then give them a problem statement. And don't judge people based on whether things are complete or incomplete. Somebody might work on a solution which might be incomplete, but in the process he might have learned a lot of things, because
Correct.
not always when you try something it succeeds. So
Mhm.
that culture needs to be introduced. And I think so a good way of doing it is to involve people in the form of groups.
Mhm.
If people are just nowadays in engineering, systems engineering is something that is coming a lot into picture.
Correct.
People just cannot, when they work in industry, cannot say that, hey, I am a computer people, so I will not think anything about the actuators. We need people who are jack of all trades and master of some.
Mhm.
So that should be inculcated in the college level itself. Empower them with the basic knowledge of every department, of everything that an end-to-end system needs. And once you give them that knowledge, then give them a problem statement and ask them to work in a group. It will not only help them from technical point of view to solve it, but it will also help them to how to integrate things from different departments.
Correct. Correct. I mean, that's really a great point, because when this kind of thought was always there in engineering students, that whenever I pick a technology, or whenever I pick a stream, I have to be clinged onto that. I can't divert my road. Many people even today, they ask me like, what was your background and what are you working on? I said I am working on IoT, and IoT is a field where we have to work on electronics and also computer science related stuff. So they say, how is that possible? Like, that's how the things work. Like, if you have a hardware, it will not work by itself. It needs some external software. And this idea, I don't know, for some reason, maybe because of I was getting groomed in Robolab technologies or at my college, and also the other things that came across, made my mind in such a way that that these are all things that go hand in hand, and we should not separate or bifurcate them. And learning all those things together, and learning more things apart from what is in your curriculum is very much important. Also, bringing on to the next thing, you also mentioned the other day when we were talking casually that you were one of the part of the board members who designed the curriculum for Maharashtra government. Can you talk a little bit about that, and how did that go forward?
Yes, yes. Since we work a lot in education and we have been able to produce some wonderful results and some people, some good alumnus of the labs that we have been working with.
Mm-hmm.
So since it has been 7 years, people who have already been a part of the lab, they have been uh, understanding after going in the industry how the exposure at the undergraduate level helped them
Mm-hmm.
to understand the overall overview of whatever they are working in their field. So through that, some of the faculties got to know about us. They had some interactions with us, saw some of the labs that we have been doing, and we were invited to set up the syllabus of MSBT, which is the Maharashtra State Board for Technical Education
Mm-hmm.
for diploma colleges. So we are working in setting up from the point of view of student syllabus that would be helpful to them. So usually when a syllabus is set, a good thing that initially also people used to do and now they are doing is they involve the industry people as well, because they are also one of the stakeholders in the education ecosystem. So there are like
Correct.
2 3 stakeholders. Firstly, the students, the most important one for which it is being done, the
Mm-hmm.
faculties who give the education, the parents whose kids are being trained, and the people who are going to consume these people, these trained manpower,
Mm-hmm.
the industry. So all these uh, stakeholders are invited when the syllabus is being set. So we are from the industry perspective being invited to set that up, and we are working towards revamping it so that it should be relevant 5 years 10 years down the line when somebody is learning it, and that skill that they are learning in diploma, that should be an employable skill, not just any skill.
That's really great. I mean, you are kind of laying a foundation for technology of the future of India. I mean, anything you want to learn or anything you want to do, you are not only just doing business out of it, but you are really serving a real purpose. There was really a gap between, there were technical technology institutes and there were students who were really enthusiastic, but there was that gap that people didn't have resources, and you are really proving out to be a great resource there. Now, coming up, let's jump on to a little future from now. How do you think specifically IoT would do in the future of India? Like, because we have a lot of, first thing, India has a great resource, human resource. I kind of hate calling it as a resource. Humans cannot be called as a resource, but how do you think from this strength, what is the best thing that can happen, and what is the worst thing that can happen in the future of IoT specifically, and how can we channelize ourselves to excel to that part? Currently, if we look at it, kind of, we can say the European countries are excelling in IoT stream, but how do we channelize with all this stuff that are going in India, like Atmanirbhar Bharat, a lot of electronic companies setting up their plants here in India, and all these opportunities coming back to India. So how do we upskill ourselves, and how do we channelize ourselves so that we end up in a right position?
So for this, I believe a lot of things are coming to India because basically we have a lot of people and we are a very, very big market. So people are setting up manufacturing sectors here because they understand that even though there are a lot of
Hmm.
people here, their per capita income and their paying capacity is really
Correct.
less. So if they want to offer technology to the people, they cannot be offering something that is
Hmm.
really old. They need to offer something new so that people will be willing to buy it. For people to be willing to buy it, it has to be
Hmm.
affordable. So if they manufacture outside and then sell in India, it is not going to be affordable. So that is the main reason I believe people are manufacturing India, to reduce the manufacturing cost. And they know that people here have uh, there are a lot of people, basically we are the
Correct.
market ourselves,
Especially,
and
and most
we
of them
can
being
buy.
youth.
Yes. And second thing is, I really believe is, good thing that India can do for IoT is we can democratize it. We can reduce the cost of access to the IoT technology by the people, for
Hmm.
the people. Because right now IoTs, it's more limited to the industries and some cities. Even though we speak about smart cities and other initiatives by the
Mhm.
government of India, it is yet to reach to the ground level where it really matters. A lot of our population doesn't live
Correct.
in cities. So we have to start off with really really small things. I'll give you a small example. Just like our companies, there is another company called Embed Gallery, which is also a startup, started off at the same time
Mhm.
as we did. They utilized a GSM based solution for starting for turning the motors in the fields with the help of your
Correct.
phones. You can
Yeah.
simply give a call on that number, and that will turn on the motor or turn off the motor. If the electricity supply stops, it will tell the owner by calling on a specific number that the electricity supply has
Mhm.
stopped. If the motor is damaged, it will tell that as well. So we have to start off with these small
Correct.
things. Even you cannot expect a Indian farmer to take a 50,000 IoT solution. So like this device that I told you, it is available to them at a cost of as less as
Mhm.
5,000 rupees. So that is one major factor that we as a country need to work on, making IoT affordable for the masses. Once it is affordable, then it will be
Correct.
acceptable, and then we can utilize it to the fullest extent.
Yes, I definitely agree with you on this, Pratik. But the other side of the coin here is that this is the most discussed topic currently in industry, especially in industry 4.0 kind of implementations of projects. That there is a huge skill gap, and industry is really trying hard to fill this skill gap. How does one or professionals like us or government in this case can help and help us fill this gap and create experts in this field? What are your thoughts here?
So you were telling about the how the government can play a role into this. So I will tell it in two parts. So firstly, from the government's perspective, everything is, especially if we are talking about IoT is not just a product, it is an ecosystem of things that are working
Correct.
together. Products are just the edge devices that, eventually through Atmanirbhar Bharat, maybe people will create these kind of products in
Hmm.
India where they could be used. But for that good, if we really want to have an Atmanirbhar Bharat, we need to have our own AWS, we need to have our own things board, we need to have our own internet connectivity properly available across India. Then only these applications, IoT is basically the application that we want to
Hmm.
do. We can do that application layer properly. So all this basic infrastructure is something that you and me or the citizens cannot individually do. That has to be done through the government. So it has to be a top-down
Hmm.
approach. The down, in the sense, are the students that we want to work in this field. That is only possible if the top people are they have the vision to have that infrastructure at the country. They have the vision to have 5G connectivity in the
Hmm.
country. They have the vision to ensure that it is easily available to people. Then only people will be willing to go into. This is where the other part, the student's perspective. If you are doing engineering, if you are doing studies, the only thing you want to achieve at the end of your studies is
Yeah.
employment. So if they want to do that, and if they want to look into IoT as an employment, they will only do that when they see that there is an opportunity, there is a requirement, there is ecosystem available.
Hmm.
So we have to show that ecosystem as professionals, as the country. We have to show the ecosystem to the students so that they have the confidence to go in the field. A lot of times, since they don't have the faith that this is going to last long, so they don't take the plunge into it. Once they see it, they'll definitely go into it.
Definitely, I feel it's the need of the hour to create the right kind of ecosystem and also infrastructure around IoT. Also, the most important thing I feel is we need a right kind of community around IoT. And just to add, but not to brag, but this is where Belk IoT is intended towards, to create a good community around IoT so that people collaborate with each other and grow in this profession of IoT. All right, those were all the questions I had for you, Pratik, on this episode of podcast. And yeah, that brings us to the end of this episode. Also, if our audience want to reach out to you, where do they contact you?
Yes, so if you can reach out to us. We have a website, robolab.in. www.robolab.in. And I would suggest, if you want to do anything wonderful in the field of IoT, get in touch with Sai himself. He has been doing wonderful. I have known him for more than 4 5 years now. I have seen him as a student, and now seeing him as a professional, I could see the lateral shift and the efforts that have been put into this. And even as a student, you were very, inquisitive and very interested in asking a lot of questions. That is the way a student should be. Try to learn a lot of things. Even though you are from electronics, I remember you and me working at night preparing the pneumatic stable. You were drilling at 3 o'clock at night. You were doing drills as well, asking me what is a two-way valve, 3x2 valve. And that helps somewhere down the line when you work as a professional. So even if that exposure at college level, understanding what pneumatics is, and now working in IoT, if you have a project in future that will have pneumatics, you'll be easily able to integrate it. So be very open. Try to ask questions to a lot of people, and if you have an opportunity, do utilize it.
Thanks for those really kind words, Pratik. I really feel, the curiosity to know things is what keeps me driving, and that's what makes me explore the things and try out new things. All right. So that brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks a lot for joining us today and now having this great conversation with me and giving out very insightful thoughts there on all my questions. Thanks a lot.
And thank you for this opportunity. It was wonderful talking to you. I wish you all the best and hope this podcast keeps giving out episodes after episodes and taking technology to the masses. Thanks a lot.
All right, that brings us to the end of this episode. Please make sure that you follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. That will encourage me to bring more such episodes. Thanks a lot. Until next time, keep doing awesome as always. Bye.